So I will show you how you can code in Nvivo, and this will be similar in Atlas-TI and other places as well, I'm sure. So presuming you've got all your documents that you wanted to code here, so for instance I've got all my transcripts which are anonymized here in Nvivo, and I've got some notes here. Basically you open your transcript and then it gives you your transcript, and then you click edit so that you can start editing it. And I actually like to then display the nodes that you're coding and then hide this just to have a little bit more space, and then do this. And so what you can do here, for instance, you want to highlight an area. So what I've done with my transcripts as well, that I formatted them, and sometimes I highlight things in red which I think are useful quotes, and then I highlight a section that I wanted to code. So for instance here Thomas is talking about data literacy, and then I display the data literacy node here that I wanted to code it as, and basically you drag and drop it in and code it as such. And then so this is when you've already got a node here. So what happens if you haven't yet got a node identified here? You have various ways of doing it. You can right click in the node area and create a new node, or another thing to do. So for instance here I said that big companies you know, might have some special ways or special requirements with digital capabilities. So then you can go back here and then you either code here, so using the menu, or the other thing that sometimes is quite helpful if you right click and then so we will create a code. So here you can either choose something that already exists or create a new node, which could be big companies. And then as you see, I haven't put it in any of my existing structure, but I created a new node for it. Click OK. And so now here, if you go back here, big companies, it's got one reference identified with that. Again, if you get lost, you can always go back. So yeah, if you ever get lost, you can either navigate by seeing what's available. So I can go back to the transcript here, or you can display this and go back to the transcripts there, or if you wanted to display the nodes, then you can go back there. The other useful thing, that once you've coded up a document, a transcript, then you can always display the coding stripes, and here you can choose all coding or just selected items. So let's say if I just wanted to select the my 6-element model, where people talk about either you can select the tree structure, the top bit, and it will select everything below that, or you can just select, I don't know, the four of those. And I think the ones in bold will probably indicate where the document actually contains those. And click OK. So it basically will then display in my document all those 4 nodes and how I've coded them. But an easier way of that would be, if you just wanted to look at one node, is you can click into data literacy, and you see that there's 100 references coded on that, and it will list all my resources that were coded as data literacy in here. So that, I think I've shown you how to code, how you can display the codes. And then one thing that might be quite useful is also, let's go back to transcript for Thomas and then make that disappear. So one of the things is quite useful is Autocode. So for instance, that's something I will show you in getting started with Nvivo. But let's say you want to autocode for all the, all the times people mention a particular technology, or for instance Dreamweaver, where people mention, then there is an option to code in Nvivo to do that. Or Autocode is quite useful if you have a transcript and you want to identify all that Thomas said and identify it as a case, so that basically when you come to report on a quote, you know that all the times Thomas said, or perhaps the interviewer said something, you can then distinguish between the interviewer and the interviewee, because that's one of the things that can mess model up sometimes, that if you code the whole transcript, sometimes you might code something that the interviewer said, not the speaker. So that's something that's quite useful.